Jaxon this, Jaxon that, blah, blah, blah. Ever get so tired of hearing your parents call your name that you feel like gluing their mouths shut while they sleep? Do you think that's a little extreme? I'm sure you don't, because even if your parents aren't annoying like mine, they are annoying, and sometimes you just want to shut them up. Before I continue, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell too, and you'll be the first to know when we release another exciting story.
Jaxon!
My mom screamed again.
You need to change your baby sister's diaper if you want to eat dinner tonight. Unless you want me to contaminate the food. Is that what you want? Baby poop in your pasta? You lazy potato of a boy.
I walked to the living room like I was on my way to my funeral. I didn't hate my baby sister. She was cute. But have you ever changed a diaper? If not, you're lucky. If you have, you know. You just know. Ugh. So I changed the little monster, gave her a toy, and started walking back up to my room.
Jaxon, where are you going? Set the table and put your sister in her high chair.
Ugh, Mom, I have homework.
Liar. Hurry up and do what I asked.
At that moment, my dad walked in and started talking too, like somebody invited him into the conversation.
You know, you should be grateful for the roof over your head. We worked really hard to provide for you.
And the rest sounded like blah, blah, blah nonsense. At that moment, I just snapped. You work hard, but you know what you two are. Losers. Why? You're not rich. I shouldn't have to be a third parent to this baby. I shouldn't have to do all this stuff. I should be in my room enjoying my life and playing video games. You know your jobs don't pay much, but you still had another baby. Like, wow, awesome.
Jaxon!
My mom shouted. She was surprised and looked like she'd just seen a ghost on a unicycle. Don't Jaxon me, I'm tired of your voice. If you two had made a little more effort in life, we could have been rich. You could have been able to hire a maid and a babysitter for Bella. But no, you're just two poor losers, I screamed at them. I left the table as it was and marched up to my room.
Oh yeah? Well, why don't you try to do better then?
I heard my dad shout. Well, maybe I will, I screamed back. What an argument, huh? So I went to bed hungry that night, and when I got up the next morning, the first one up, of course, the kitchen sink was full of dirty dishes for me to wash. I left them right there and went to school. All day, I thought about what my dad said. Why don't I try to do better? Well, how can I? I wasn't extremely clever, and I didn't know where to start. And then my business teacher gave me a wonderful idea. Unintentionally, of course. He said,
Some of the wealthiest people aren't smart. They just know how to make the right moves. They make all their money off the smart people they employ. You don't have to be smart to be rich. You just have to employ the right people. So, like Willy Wonka and the Oompa Loompas, right?
said Roger, the class clown.
What do you mean? Willy Wonka did nothing. He just reaped the profits while his Oompa Loompas did all the work. Well, that's an interesting perspective. Were they even paid? I think they were kidnapped. So all I need to do is kidnap some Oompa Loompas.
Everyone laughed at Roger, including me, but then it gave me a bright idea. Oompa Loompas didn't exist, but geniuses did. I looked over to my left where Elijah was sitting. He was the smartest guy in the whole school. He'd won like over 20 spelling bees, science fairs, and other things I'm not nerdy enough to remember. He never got less than 95% on any test. Clearly, this kid was a genius, and soon he'd be my genius. After class, I asked Elijah if he wanted to sit with me at lunch.
With me? Why?
I think you're cool, and plus, I want to ask you something.
Okay.
Later, we sat next to each other and got straight to business. You're really clever, right? You're like the smartest guy in the whole school?
Right. But where are you going with this?
Well, I have a proposal.
What?
Do you want to be rich?
Well, I'm just trying to focus on being a kid for now. Besides, my parents have some money. We're comfortable. They leave me alone and let me do whatever I want.
Whoa, you're lucky. You mean you don't have dirty diapers to change or anything?
No, most of the time I'm studying anyway. I don't have any siblings. I'm an only child.
Okay, but back to my point. I think we should start a business, you and me. We could make so much money.
I'm not really interested, sorry. I'm trying to focus on getting into Princeton. I don't have time. I don't even like business.
But, okay, never mind. How was I going to get Elijah to be my Oompa Loompa if he didn't want to be? And yep, you're right, because you already read the title of this story. I was going to kidnap him. You might be wondering how I did this. Well, it was pretty easy actually. I just invited him to my house after school the next day. My mom and dad were still at work and my baby sister was at daycare, so it was just the two of us. I told him we would play video games and we did that for a little while in my room. Then I realized I needed to get started on my plan before my parents got home. So, Elijah, I'm very sorry to have to do this. It's for your own good. Well, my own good, actually.
What are you talking about?
I want to be rich. I caught Elijah by the hands and tied them together very tightly.
Stop! What are you doing?
Be quiet. I got some duct tape and taped his mouth. Luckily, Elijah was a small kid. I, on the other hand, looked like a sumo wrestler in comparison. So here's how it's gonna go. You're gonna think of ways to get us rich. We're gonna start a business or whatever, and I want a few hundreds coming in by next week. He couldn't answer for obvious reasons. I heard my parents opening the door downstairs, so I shoved Elijah into my closet and went downstairs. I didn't bring him any dinner that night, so he'd understand I was serious. The next day, I pretended I was going to school, but I went to a hardware store to buy some things to put in my room to prevent Elijah from getting out. I stole my parents' credit card for this one, of course. When they saw the charge, they'd just think that it was a mistake or get the number changed or whatever. I didn't care. Later, I installed some metal bars on my windows and added a new lock to my bedroom door. My parents wouldn't notice anyway because they never paid any attention to me. When my room was prepared, I took Elijah out of the closet, untied him, and removed the duct tape from his mouth.
You're sick. You're crazy, Jaxon. I want to go home.
Well, the sooner you make us rich, the sooner you go home, okay? Put that genius to work, I replied while handing him 3 jelly donuts and a milkshake. You can stay untied for now because I don't know how you're going to do any work all tied up. When you're finished eating, I need you to sit at my computer and brainstorm a few business ideas. Come on, I believe in you.
My parents are going to find me and you're going to be in big trouble.
Whatever, just hurry up, okay? Later, he did what I told him to, but he looked really sad. What's wrong?
Well, I'm not really good at business stuff, but I have an idea.
What?
We could invest in cryptocurrency. I just need about a week to learn everything, and then after I do, I'm sure we could make a lot.
Okay, I don't understand anything about crypto, but that's why I have you. Great, well, start learning. I made sure to disable all the features on my computer that would enable him to communicate with anyone to let them know where he was. The next week, I went to school and left him locked in my room. My parents didn't suspect a thing, and I still managed to do all my chores and take care of my sister with a captive in my room. You think I'm brilliant, don't you? That weekend, we got to work. Elijah asked me for my debit card, and luckily I already had one because I had a little savings account my parents made for me. There was only about $20 in there. We used that little bit of money, and by the end of the weekend, we had already made $300. Good job, buddy, but I need much more money.
Fine.
He sighed. By the end of the next week, Elijah had made $3,000, which you've got to admit is pretty good for a beginner. But I wasn't impressed. You're supposed to be a genius. $3,000? I'm gonna have to keep you here a lot longer. Well, I guess this guy really didn't appreciate my hospitality and my super cool prison bedroom because after the next week, we were up by $10,000. And by the end of the month, we had $100,000. After 3 months, I was a millionaire. I made Elijah write a letter home explaining that he had decided to take some time alone and went to some kind of camping site to clear his head from all the schoolwork he'd been doing. I just didn't want them to worry too much, and I was starting to get nervous about being arrested. I mean, how was I going to enjoy all my money in prison? After we hit the second million, I made him this proposal. We're too young to buy a house, but we can pose as adults to get a deal far away from here. I'm sick of my parents and I want to leave this stupid house. Then, when we move into our place, we can continue making money. Instead of this kidnapper-kidnappee relationship, we could be business partners. I mean, I'm really sorry about what I did to you and I hope you can forgive me, but in a way, you gotta be thankful, no? You've seen what you can do. You don't even need to go to Princeton. You're already a millionaire.
So how would we share the profits then?
50-50.
Fine.
We started looking for a house online and we bought one without even going to see it first. We made fake ID cards pretending to be much older men, and it was all so easy. I packed my bags one Saturday morning while my parents were having breakfast with my little sister and walked out the door with Elijah.
Where are you going, son?
My dad asked. To my new mansion, loser. I'll send you a postcard. You told me to try to do better than you, didn't you? Well, I did.
Who was that other kid? You never introduced us. When did he even get here?
My mom said. That's my business partner. Bye, Mom. Bye, Dad. Your millionaire son is off to live a better life. They looked so confused as our luxury Uber came to pick us up. When we got to our house, I felt a sense of freedom and excitement that I'd never felt before. We set up our special little crypto office with a whole bunch of computers and stuff, and continued our work. Instead of letting Elijah do everything, I sat with him and made an effort to learn. We both worked almost all day, and the millions kept rolling in. Well, I've got to admit that at first I lost a lot more than I made, but after I learned, I started to earn more bit by bit. Then one day, just like that, Elijah disappeared. I think he snuck out in the middle of the night one night. I was looking for him everywhere the next day, but I couldn't find him. I thought he might have gone back to his parents' house because he missed them during the, unfortunate kidnapping incident, but he wasn't there. I searched everywhere, but he was nowhere to be found. That guy knew he was going to leave someday. He tricked me. Now what am I gonna do? Can I continue to make a fortune by myself? I thought. I went back to my mansion and continued working. Luckily, I had learned enough from Elijah, and I already had lots of money saved up. Years later, after I had already started a family and was living with my wonderful wife and 2 kids, I heard a knock at my door. I opened it, and a huge man punched me and dragged me out to a car that was waiting outside. The driver sped away, and I heard a voice from the front seat.
Hi, Jaxon.
It sounded so familiar. Could it be Elijah?
We meet again, huh?
What are you doing? Let me out.
No, I worked for you, now you will work for me.
I was blindfolded, and hours later I was taken to a little room in what felt like a high-rise building. The blindfold was removed, and I saw Elijah's smiling face looking down at me.
I own this building, and no one will ever find you here because it's a secret room. I've made a fortune, and actually I don't need you to work for me. I just need you to stay here and think about your life. What you did to me was horrible, and you need to experience it too. I might let you out after a few years, if I feel like it.
But I'm sorry, I was only a kid. Please, forgive me.
No. Anyway, here are some jelly donuts and a milkshake.
He winked. So here I am now, writing this story as a captive. But I guess it's karma.